All right, folks, here we go. This is it. This is my analysis and my breakdown over this past weekend's event of Wilder versus Fury. Now, a lot has been going on. I was away. I didn't want to really give a breakdown until I had a chance to actually analyze the complete and total full fight. Now, I had a hard time with that because it was a while before I could find an upload of the full fight. I saw highlights. Somebody did a detailed highlight clip, which gave me an idea, sort of what went on in the fight. But when you have when you have a draw that was controversial and that included 2 knockdowns, there's a lot of nuances to uncover. And one thing I've learned over the last few years is you don't go off of the public outcry, because 99% of the time, the public is crying with their emotions. They have no idea what actually happened in the ring. They just know what they wanted to happen, and the draw has them. They just need to talk. And I knew that was the case, and that's why I wasn't going to be satisfied until I saw it with my own two eyes. Now, there was a 115-111 scorecard, I believe, for Wilder, and the other 2 were draws, if I'm not mistaken. So it was a majority draw. Now, apparently, or it was a split draw, or something of that nature. Apparently, there was the opinion that Deontay was winning the fight, and at some point, and the knockdowns basically put him back in it after he started losing some rounds, and then it ended up being a draw. And some people feel that he boxed well enough, and then a lot of people just outcrying that, oh my goodness, he's a horrible boxer. Tyson boxed him silly all night long. We can't believe this. But if you recall, a couple of weeks ago, there was a match between Gabriel Rosado and Luis Arias that there was also an outcry about. Oh my goodness, Gabe Rosado, he absolutely outboxed Luis Arias. That should never have been a draw. He completely embarrassed him. And then Gabe Rosado was talking backstage after the fight that he absolutely dominated him. He boxed him beautiful, all this other stuff. But there's a difference between wanting and trying to do something and doing it. After listening to the outcry, when I actually got a chance to sit down and watch the Arias Rosado fight, it's amazing. Now, Arias hasn't really grown into that division yet. I don't know how much more he's gonna grow, but he's not really a natural big middleweight like that. If he was, he would have hurt Rosado. Rosado has a great chin, so he's been in there with the best of them. Even Triple G couldn't completely, spark him out. He has an iron chin. What's impressive is he didn't take much damage cut-wise, but Arias was hitting him and countering him almost the whole freaking fight. Gabe Rosado had some nice defensive moves, and he was countering every now and again pretty well, utilizing his jab and, being a general in the ring some of the time. But a lot of what he was doing was missing. Sometimes somebody tries to box cute. It's not really their forte. They can do it, but it's not really them. And they try to box cute, and they do all the moves that they see boxers do, and they feel like, oh, I'm boxing beautiful. But actually look at what's landing. Rosado missed almost everything he threw in those counterpunch scenarios. And Arias was tagging him on the way in. And I believe Arias when he says that the only reason why that cut came about was because of a clash of heads. Late in the fight, they did clash heads. And I didn't see much of what Gabe was doing that would have busted Arias open. So it just goes to show you really have to see it. Now, it was a draw, Wilder versus Fury, and everybody is up in arms. How could this possibly be a draw? In the 12th round, which is really what's memorable, Deontay knocks Fury. Everyone believes he knocks some spark out. But if you actually look at it, it's funny how people remember things and how they actually happen. Go back and watch the video. At the 8, both gloves are off the canvas and he's in the process of standing up. He is standing up in front of the referee long before the 10 count. But everybody remembers it that Fury was on the ground with his eyes rolled into the back of his head. And then at the 10 count, he's still down and the referee's giving him time. There's a glove or two on the ground at 10. That never happened. If that happened, Reese would have stopped the fight. The referee's name was Jack Reese. He's done a couple major fights. Obviously. He knows what he's doing. He's not a fanboy of Fury's. He would have stopped the fight if his gloves were on the canvas at 10. He was up and standing at 10. And if you go back and watch, you'll see that he got caught with a counter right hand down the pipe and then a follow-up left hook that sent him back. As he goes down, he's never rolling in the back of his head with his eyes. He's never out. The whole time, the minute he falls down, he's staring at Reese and he's communicating with Reese and he's taking his time to get his wits about him because, as he said in an interview afterwards, a lot of times fighters pop up at 3, but they don't know where their legs are at. I wanted to give myself the proper time to get a look at the video and tell me he's lying when he says that. If you look at him, everyone's talking about his eyes rolled in the back of his head. Even Deontay's like, I saw his eyes roll in the back of his head. He was dead. I think God woke him up. Dude, he was wide-eyed, staring at the referee, communicating the whole time. Just because you connected with a big punch doesn't mean it did that. Because if you notice, throughout the fight, Deontay landed several right hooks and left hooks. He didn't really land a lot of uppercuts, but he landed a lot of straights and he landed a lot of right hooks that Tyson rolled off, and even a couple of times he showboated and he tapped his chin like, that's all you got? It's not like that's the first time he really connected the whole fight. He connected with Fury throughout the fight. And which brings me to another point. Everyone's crying that, oh, how could it possibly be a draw? We think Wilder won, or we think Fury clearly won. Look at it this way. This is where the math gets people. If you win 2 rounds, 10-8 with knockdowns, because he got a knockdown in the 12th round and he also knocked him down in the 9th round. Now, the 9th round knockdown was a little weird because he was rushing him into the ropes and it almost seemed like he missed the shot that put him down. And the imbalance and the fact that he was rushing towards him knocked Fury off balance. But either way, they want to call it a clean right hook that put him down or a check left hook. Wilder was pushing the pressure from the get-go. Now, the first round, everybody says that Fury won it. Wilder rushed out like a bull in round 1. And he actually was having definite success within the first 20, 30 seconds. But Fury did kind of matador him and reel him in. And I'm perfectly fine with giving that round to Fury. Then in round 2, Fury's measuring some more. Not very active. Fury wasn't very active throughout the first few rounds, but he was trying to box and be defensively effective and stay away from Wilder's early rushes. But if I'm not mistaken, round 3 is clearly a round Wilder could have gotten. He was effective. He stopped being so reckless. He started landing combinations and flurries on the ropes. And Fury would start to showboat and step back and start boxing again. But if you look at what's effectively done, you could easily see round 3 going to Deontay. Now remember, you have 2 10-8 rounds, 9 and 12. In order to get a draw, when you get 2 knockdowns, when you knock somebody down in 2 different rounds, all you need to do is win 2 other rounds in the entire fight. And remember, this is the champion on home soil. So you're at least going to give him that criteria. All he has to do is win 2 other rounds in the fight. 10-9. Not dominating, just 10-9 rounds to get a draw automatically. 3rd round, there's no question that any sane judge could give him the 3rd round. I'm not saying it's out of the realm of possibility that Fury got it. There's no reason for me not to give round 3 to Wilder. It's not about somebody who's trying to box. See, what happens is if somebody's successful for a stretch of rounds, but they lose a couple rounds, people have a hard time seeing it because all they see is the blur of the stretch of rounds. They can't break down and see that he lost that round and that round. Fury was excellent all the way through round 9. But he lost round 3, and he lost round 9 was where he got knocked down. That was a 10-8 round. And round 8, if you go back and watch it, was another round where Wilder was turning it on. He kind of finished what he started in round 8 and round 9. In round 8, he was pushing the pressure. He was effectively slipping Fury's punches. He was changing levels. He was coming in and out. He was working his jab a lot more. He was setting it up. He even started going to the body a little bit more. He was starting to break Tyson down a little bit in that round. There's no reason not to give Deontay Wilder rounds 3 and rounds 8. Then he gets the knockdown in round 9. You could give all the other rounds besides 12 to Tyson Fury, and guess what? It's going to be a draw. So when I went back and I looked at it, I said, wait a second, everybody's crying bloody murder over this. The fight was a draw. Fair. And him getting up was fair as well. And he got up and he finished the round strong. He made a comment in the interview that really perplexed me. He said, even when I got knocked down in the 12th, I got up and I still finished the round and won the round. You don't win a round after a knockdown, dude. The best thing that you can do after getting knocked down, the best thing that you can do is get up, finish the round strong, and maybe draw even. Maybe draw an even 10-10 round, which I don't think is out of the realm of possibility. And if you do make that argument, then mathematically that would inch him ahead. But I don't think the judges are going to do that. The judges are not trying to hear, oh, he rallied after getting comatose, a fight, because already they're thinking a lot of times the fight's waved off. When a guy goes down like a ton of bricks, usually the referee's waving it off, especially if he's already been knocked down in the fight. But Reese was fair. He recognized that Fury wasn't completely out, was communicating with him, and did get up. And he finished, to his credit, very strong. He actually hurt Wilder later in the 12th. And I feel there were a couple of times in the fight he could have hurt and stopped Wilder. See, Wilder doesn't show it because Wilder has a lot of heart. But one thing I'm noticing about Wilder's style, one of the reasons why he's so offensive, it's not because he lacks defensive skills. He actually has the ability to slip and roll punches way better than he gets credit for. And Deontay has decent footwork. But what Deontay is I think he's more heart than chin. And I think to compensate for the fact that he really doesn't want to get buzzed and knocked out because he has too much pride, he ramps up his offense, and that's why he rushes so much. And that's why he throws those wild punches, and he cocks back and he puts everything into every punch that he throws, telegraphing everything. And a good boxer that's slick and cute can roll those shots and counter him. But if you notice, the couple of times where Fury was coming through with a 1-2 down the pipe, or he was just sticking the straight right down the middle when Deontay was coming in, or Fury a couple of times Fury would roll the right hand and come over the top with a check hook, and then follow with a right uppercut, and then blitz him with a 1-2 after that. And a couple times that he did that, he buzzed Deontay Wilder. And you see Deontay start to shell up. Deontay gets hurt. He has a lot of heart, and he has a decent chin. His chin is not iron. He gets hurt. And if you pay attention, there were a few times, not only in this fight, but in the Ortiz fight, where you see him ready to go. You just wouldn't know because he's so offensively furious that it covers it up. But there were a couple of times where Fury could have completely taken him out completely. And his father commented on that in an interview a couple of days later. That with the proper training and the proper preparation and being at 100%, he'll finish the fight. Forget about the judges. You know, everybody's talking about Fury doesn't have punching power. He has enough punching power to knock dude out. The rematch will be very interesting, especially if Tyson can get his father in his camp. His father knows what he's talking about. But I'm noticing that about Deontay. I never really picked up on that until now. He compensates. He has an excellent offensive skill set, but he compensates for the fact that he has a susceptible chin. I'm not saying he has a glass chin, but he has a susceptible chin that he worries about when he gets buzzed. But all in all, my take on things, if you want to know the long and short of it, it was a fair draw. It was fair play. There was nothing wrong with a draw. It was completely accurate. Go back and watch the fight. People just need to complain about things. The fight was a draw. It was a spectacular fight. One thing about Deontay is he's dangerous from beginning to end. And the thing is, when I look at Anthony Joshua, he's a coward and I've lost all respect for him. But he does have a skill set that poses a danger to Wilder. He's just so scared of getting knocked out himself that he doesn't want to step into that fire, which is sad. But he's going to be forced to now. And I think whoever he faces is going to knock him out. So right now his back is to a wall. Do you take the blue pill or the red pill? Because either one is putting you to sleep. So stay tuned for what's next. And thank you for listening to the Jokatech podcast.
Now for a break.